This is one of those games that I played like at a friend's house because they had this like copy of a game that nobody else had ever heard of. Developed and published by Capcom.
No, I've never even heard of it, to be honest with you.
Very rare that I've mentioned a game that has stunt lava.
Yeah, I've never heard of
There
it.
we are.
Never heard of it.
First time for
So,
everything.
yeah. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 102 of High Scores, High Stakes, the podcast that's all about gaming today, but is still respectful of its heritage. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Luvva Luvva, and with me is a very tanned looking Tomahawk.
He's back. Tomahawk here. How are we doing, Mr. Luvva Luvva?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad we got here because it was looking for a very short period.
Very
That
11th
episode,
hour.
that episode 102 may or may not occur, which is
Be
strange
lost
because
in the lost
last
tapes.
last week went really smoothly. Maybe it's a you problem.
Oh no, I'm fully aware it's exclusively a me problem. This is what happens when I decide to travel and then think, oh, I'll just come home and record a podcast and then do some live streaming. I'm going, nope, nope.
Yeah, yeah. In hindsight, you have come home and took your Bioshock wrench, the most iconic video game item of all time, threw it right in the clockwork of the podcast. In hindsight, I should have known. There's no way. I did have a feeling you weren't going to be able to make it on our usual recording day, but I thought, oh, it'll be easy. We'll just
It
shift it
was
till
ambitious.
tomorrow. But I forgot that Cardinal has real friends, and they're more important
That's
than
right.
us.
Yeah, he's a traitor. But we'll not talk about Cardinal today. Cardinal's dead
No,
to us in this
Cardinal,
instance.
Cardinal's dead deals. See you later, mate. R.I.P. I would say GBNF, but I intend fully to forget about him.
Absolutely
And
forget about him.
yeah, but the one thing I will never forget to do is remind our viewers what High Scores High Stakes is. And it is
Silky
in
smooth.
season. It is three friends, three PlayStations competing against one another in a PlayStation Gaming Challenge League. Every week we pick a new game, we play a new challenge, and the winner of that challenge gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, third place gets 1 point, and the winner at the end of the season gets the coveted High Scores High Stakes Cup. But of course, we are not in season at the minute. This is our side quests. And that means that every week we talk everything gaming, everything PlayStation. It's like a brand new podcast in your device every single week. And you're welcome. You don't have to thank us. But what we do ask is that you've listened to us for a while, or even if this is your first episode, if you want to give us a wee star review, whatever podcast platform you listen to, 1 star to 5 star, that would be very much appreciated. If you want to give us a written review, the algorithms love them. That would be amazing. And if you've done all that, but you've not yet shared High Scores, High Stakes with your friends, please do that
Do
now.
it now.
Just hit the share button.
Like right
Hit the
now.
share button.
Do it. Do it. Share.
According to Alex San Filipino, it is still, word of mouth is still the biggest spreader of podcasts. We can do all we want on social media, but it comes down to word of mouth. It's incredible, 2025, but we're still spreading news through our mouths like we are cavemen. But we're not cavemen. Hit that share button on your phone, give us a wee share, send it to a friend who you think you might enjoy it, or send it to your worst enemy because you know they'll hate it. That'll wind them up. It'll be good crack. I love it. He loves it. We all love it. And do you know what else we really, really love here at High Scores, High Stakes? I think I know what the answer is going to be. But Tomahawk, please tell me, what are you playing?
uh, I bought Balatro. So I've been playing
Ooh.
Balatro on an iPhone. I haven't been
That's what I
playing
was
any
going to say.
console. I haven't been playing no console gaming this last week or so. So I thought to myself, I will treat myself because Balatro does offer offline play. You don't need any kind of internet connection to play it, which has been phenomenal. Uh, and it's a game that I said does not deserve to be game of the year. Doesn't deserve to be in the
Mhm.
conversation for game of the year.
Yeah.
But goddamn, I love that game. It has me hooked.
Yeah. All I see for it is just universal praise and how much it is addictive and all that sort of good stuff. And I'm like, I am not touching that game because I will lose my life to it like I did to Phasmophobia.
It's the same as like how Vampire Survivors worked. It was free on iOS and it was like £2 on console game. It a little bit more optimized for console gaming, but I feel as if Balatro just belongs on a handheld. Whereas if I had to sit and play hundreds of hours of Balatro on the PlayStation 5, I would only play Balatro on the PlayStation 5 is the
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's
That's
great. It looks good. It's all like the way the music's brilliant. It's cards and roguelike. I mean, it doesn't really get much easier than that.
Oh, not at all, not at all. I feel it'll be one of those games where you think you're really, really good. I'm really good at poker. This is gonna be easy, but you just don't get the cards in that particular run, and it's all it's a
Yeah.
whole big waste. And it's like, well, let's start again. But I'm presuming it runs like the games are short, swift, quick, or can they run on?
They're pretty short if you have like the correct Joker cards and the correct multipliers at the start. Like your base, your first level, your first ante, I think it is. You start completely cards only offer your numerical value is what your score is, and then your bonuses are added on in the rounds after the fact. But I'm still discovering like Joker cards and Planet cards and Tarot cards, all just to add and build to your deck as I'm going. I thought I had got every Joker card, and then it was like, oh, you played this many rounds, and you got an achievement. Here's a random Joker card, and you just are constantly discovering more. And they do all these weird and wonderful buffs and debuffs, and then the antes or the big blinds bosses, that kind of stuff, will then just randomly go, well, we're gonna require double points for this round now. So you need a good deck from the
Yeah,
get go, otherwise you're going to struggle.
yeah,
But as
yeah,
soon as as you say, as soon as you hit game over, you just go reset,
yeah.
and
That's
the
yeah,
numbers start ticking up again. And I think that's what's so. I think that's probably why it was in the game of the year conversation, because it is just so easy to rinse and repeat.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. The general consensus of it is it's great, like truly, truly, truly great. I'm just terrified of playing it because it will. I'll lose my life to it. I know
best
it.
tenner I've ever spent. Not gonna lie, in our weekly consumer advice, best tenner I've ever spent on Balatro.
Well,
Absolutely.
there we go. There we go. We get that one out the way nice and quick. Balatro, iOS, buy it now. Don't stop. Well, this week, Tomahawk, I have not been playing anything really new. Um, I've got back into Phasmophobia because of the
These
remade
Dale map,
Bleasdale, which is I thought was just going to be the same map, only updated graphics and that sort
just
of good stuff.
lighting and all that kind of stuff. It's a
No,
full blown new
it's a new
house.
map.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is a new map. It has a garden that can be a ghost room. You're not safe outside the house. You only safe outside the house at the front,
At the
but
front door. Yeah.
the ghost can't chase you through the gardens, and it did. It did. It's also sort of
Class.
made certain mechanics in the game much harder. Like Lupin is currently incredibly bugged. So the famous Lupin spot for the first house, the name escapes me. I don't know how I've forgotten this,
Oh,
but
Tanglewood. Yeah.
Tanglewood's kitchen, the ghost can now see you through solid objects except walls. So the ghost can see you through that island even if you're crouched, and the speed
Okay.
just it just doesn't slow down, and it's now incredibly difficult to limp a ghost. It is being fixed by Kinetic Games, but yeah, there's a few bugs that have crept in with this update. But no, the new map's great. Like it's
I
really,
did. I
really, really
saw
good.
loads of creators talking about it, and the first thing that I think the first video I did see was that they were like, "Oh, that's just a wall," and then the guy passes through the beaded curtain. He's like, "It's beads! Oh my god!" And he's like
Yeah.
waving back and forth.
Yeah, it's such a good update. It makes me look forward to the Tanglewood update and all that sort of good stuff. I get a
That roadmap's
feeling,
just looking great. Like, to be fair,
yeah,
what they've got planned for the year is going to be incredible. I think.
yeah, I've got a feeling Tanglewood won't change as significantly as Bleasdale has. I think it'll be foolish for them to mess with anything in Tanglewood other than its graphic update.
Yeah.
But no, it's really really good fun. I've also been putting I say a lot of hours in. I've been putting some hours into RoboCop Rogue City. Mate, what a game! What a game!
Do you know what? I picked it up as well. I think what was it, 7, 8.99, something like that.
750. £7 50.
7.50. That's what I thought. Like I it was nothing at that price. It's nothing gained, nothing lost. I think as well. I must have said to you as well. I bought the Walking Dead Telltale edition. I
Yep.
bought Fahrenheit. I bought Code Veronica X, and I bought something else on top of that as well. I think I spent about less than 30 quid on about six games. So the March sale is just phenomenal at the
You
minute.
can't beat you can't beat it. You honestly can't beat it. No, RoboCop is so good. Like it's double A to its very
Oh well,
core. Like, but it looks great and it runs great and it's really good fun. I did have a boss fight last night. The first boss fight in the game actually, and it's taken me about 7 hours to get to it.
me
And
too.
I broke the game.
Oh God,
Now, when I say I broke the game, I broke the boss's AI, and he just decided to stand there in one spot, firing into nothing, while I just eradicated him from existence. It was really good fun, but it was one of those bosses. I'm like, how am I meant to beat this? What is going on? And I just ran for cover and realized, ah, this
he's
guy
not
can't.
following
He's no
me.
pathfinding around this. Okay, let's go.
Class.
But no, it is. It's actually great. It's actually a really, really, really fun game. I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of like Easter eggs and nudges to the original two movies, and there's a lot of like retconning of the third movie, which is
Oh,
always good to
really?
see.
Okay. I love that though. I love when a beloved franchise decides that they're not going to associate with the
The
lesser
terrible
title, we'll
sequel.
say. Yeah.
It's really, really good fun. Not what I was expecting it to be, but everything that I was expecting of it, it's surpassing easily. It's a
Class.
really good game. But I
I
think
love
my
that.
consumer
I love the
this week was
idea.
buying.
I love this idea of
Yeah,
the double A's coming back now. It's great.
and it's getting big DLC in the summer as well. It's
Mm.
getting like a whole second sort of shorter campaign-y thing. But yeah, no, really good fun. Really good. I'm really enjoying RoboCop Rogue City. But that's enough with the games that we are playing, Tomahawk. Shall we get to the topic of this week? Which is games that we wish we could play now, but we can't because Sony don't want anything to do with them. So the topic of this week is going to be PlayStation's dormant franchises that we think they should bring back. So shall we get there now, Tomahawk?
Boop.
So here we are, Tomahawk, then, the topic of the week. I think me and you, on numerous occasions in this podcast, have talked about we are in the golden age of remake, remasters, and reimaginings. And we are. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen so many games being one of those three anyway. There's lots and lots of them, and we gamers worldwide go, we don't want these, but then we go out and buy them by their millions. So clearly,
Yeah.
we do want them, and I'm not done yet. And there's plenty more games that I want remade, remastered. Um, but there is Sony has now been in the video game industry for what 30 years now, and over the course of 30 years, obviously they've built up this huge back catalog of incredible games with incredible characters, and there's so many of those that they're doing absolutely nothing with. And what me and you are going to do is we're going to pick like two or three each of games that Sony are doing nothing with, and begging for a new game, a port of them, a remaster, a reimagining of them. That is what we're going to discuss today. So, because you missed last week, Tomahawk, I'm going to be an absolute gentleman and a top tier podcast host, and I'm going to let you go first. So, Tomahawk, what is the dormant PlayStation franchise that you want Sony to bring back?
So I was actually gonna go. Do you know what? I'm gonna go for my easy one. I'm gonna go for Jack and Daxter.
Yes.
And it's only kind of spawned in my head after watching you stream Ratchet and Clank. So
Hmm.
Naughty Dog are sitting on this like lovely little franchise, and they've expanded on it and done other wee spin-off games and whatnot. But why can't Naughty Dog sit there and go, let's put 2 years into a Jack and Daxter 4. Let's give it the
Hmm.
same love and attention that Insomniac give Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
You've got yourself
Yeah.
an absolutely banging PlayStation 5 exclusive
Yeah.
or something into a future console, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Jack and Daxter is a weird one as well because obviously Naughty Dog made Crash Bandicoot, but they never owned it. It was always, I think it was Universal owned Crash Bandicoot back in the day. They owned Jack and Daxter. It was their own original creation. They have what there was Jack and Daxter 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 2. Then there was, am I crazy? Was there a Jack racing game as well on the PlayStation 2?
There was, yeah, yeah, Jack.
Combat
I think it was
Jack
just called
Combat
Jack
Racing?
Racing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a Daxter PSP title. And I think there's been nothing in Jack and Daxter from like 2007. I think Daxter came out in PSP in like 2007. And since
That's
then there's
probably
been
about right
nothing.
then, yeah. Like the
But
main,
there's
if we're going by like 1, 2, 3, like Jack 3 came out in 2004 now,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like
Yeah,
they've sat on this, and I think maybe they just maybe Naughty Dog's priority is obviously like The Last of Us has been so like dominant in their remit. They're now only just shifting away to like intergalactic in the
mhm.
next couple of years at least anyway. So I get you touched on it last week about how games take decades to make as opposed to churning them out in a 2 yearly basis or a yearly basis at least anyway. But
Yep.
I a lovely little platformer, double A platformer really wouldn't go amiss, I think, just to kind of
No,
cut through the
no.
cinematic genius that Naughty Dog do tend to bring out into the world.
Yeah, like, it doesn't even have to be Naughty Dog. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like, how many games developers do Sony have that are, we know of at least 2. We know Blue Point Games got their project canceled a few weeks ago. So what are Blue Point doing? Give them Jack and
sitting
Daxter
on their hands. Yeah, yeah.
and let them do it. Let them do it. Toys for Bob, who made the Crash, they made Spyro the Dragon, didn't they? The Spyro the Dragon
It
Reignited
did.
trilogy. Get them on the case. They're independent. They're no longer owned by Microsoft. Get them on the case. Let them do a
Easy.
Jack and Daxter game. There's loads of things you can do with Jack and Daxter. Well, we're now what 21 years since the last one, so I think you couldn't just go straight into Jack and Daxter 4. I think you would have to probably remaster the original trilogy to introduce people to the
Get
character.
everyone back into it, then yeah, exactly. But it's the same way that Rift Apart did as well. They kind of just picked up as if like the time between
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank 3 and 4 has elapsed. So you could get away with here's what they're doing 20 years later. They're still riding the coattails of like their
Yeah.
previous victories. And like it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but obviously Naughty Dog have priorities elsewhere and maybe don't want to shift that IP anywhere else. But it's a shame, really, because I did
I mean
enjoy the PlayStation 2. I mean, it never made onto my draft list, but there we are. That's
I mean,
beside the
yeah.
point.
Yeah, Jack and Daxter is a funny wee series. When I was blogging, started this thing where I would play games that I wouldn't be traditionally interested in. Jack and Daxter was one of them. Sly Cooper was another one, and ironically enough, Ratchet and Clank was another one. Where I was like, I have no interest in these games, but let's play them because they're meant to be really good. I really, really, really loved the first Jack and Daxter. The second one was really good. I didn't like the third one at all. But it's such a franchise with so much potential. It was a masterclass in video game design, the first one for sure, and it just showed off what the PlayStation 2 could do. Why not give Insomniac it and let them do with Jack and Daxter exactly what they did with Ratchet and Clank? Just bring it kicking and screaming into the
Into
21st
the
century.
modern
You
age,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
There's so much you can do with a
Absolutely.
platformer. I think, if nothing else, Astrobot is showing that Sony have teams capable of making a really high quality platformer. Get a team of Sobe on it. I mean, there's no better
There's no one better.
developer.
They've purely shown that they can do it, and they brought platforming back and made it kind of relevant again
Yeah, on PlayStation for sure. Yeah,
in one title. Like not
yeah,
even like gradually built to it. They went, "Here's a full Astrobot game. You're welcome, world."
yeah, yeah. I mean, real players remember Astrobot's Rescue on PSVR,
Oh
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
But yeah, the Jack and Daxter is a great show. It is a franchise, well loved franchise, really active community and speedrunning as well. It is constantly being played, and the world record is constantly being competed, if not broken an awful lot because it is now so well optimized. But Jack and Daxter is a great shout, and it is one of the true franchises where you hear the words Jack and Daxter, first thought PlayStation. And there is a
Yeah.
gap in the market right now for PlayStation. Me and Mrs. Luvva were actually talking about this the other night. We broke out the PlayStation VR with little Luvva because the girls were on a sleepover, and we just looked at each other. He had a ball with it.
Class.
We played the Astrobot game on the PSVR in the playroom, and he loved it. And it's just so refreshing to play a game where you don't have to worry about the content, you don't have to worry about an internet connection going down or anything like that. And me and Mrs. Lova, when he went to bed, we just looked at each other and went, "I wish PlayStation did more of like
Oh yeah.
family friendly games to get a family around a sofa, controllers in hand, and just having a great, great, great time." There's not enough of it on PlayStation, and it's a
No,
really
not
good
at all.
tactic for expanding their market. Get the younger ones involved is what I say. But yeah, Jack and Daxter, what a game! What a game! Great shout, great franchise, a lot of heritage, a lot of units sold. My first game is a PlayStation OG. It is a PlayStation OG. It helped put PlayStation on the market, and it helped make Sony into the biggest video game hardware manufacturer on the world. I am going to say Wipeout. Wipeout.
Nice.
Because
That's a
Wipeout
really good
is
show.
not just iconic on the PlayStation 1, it is genuinely one of the best games that best game series that PlayStation has ever had on. I can't think of a bad Wipeout game at all. Um, but like Jack and Daxter, I think the last time they released a new game in the Wipeout series, it was like 2011, and it was a Vita game. And the
Yeah,
last
that's it.
time,
I mean, I know we got the Omega collection and we got the
yeah,
remake, but like it was a PS4 launch title, wasn't it, if I remember correctly? No,
no,
not even.
it, no, the Omega collection was like 2018. It was like
Okay,
it
much later then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think it was a PlayStation launch title. Definitely not. No, it was way later than that. I know when the PlayStation VR came out, they updated it with the PlayStation VR, um, where you can play the entire game in
I do
VR.
remember that. Yeah,
I streamed it a few times. Unbelievable. But no, Wipeout is just one of those games. It's like Jack and Daxter. You hear the words Wipeout, you think instantly PlayStation, Sony. It was one of the coolest games I had ever seen in 1995. It just looked incredible. It was fast. The music was not my taste, but for some reason, I loved it.
yeah, I
I
know,
loved this.
absolutely.
It just, when they talk about synergy between visuals and audio, just Wipeout is just one of those games where it's just um, a sensory overload in so many ways. But Wipeout, I there hasn't been a new game in it because they shut down. Was it Psygnosis? In 2013, I think it was. I think they renamed them Team Liverpool and then pulled the pin on them. I think it was after the Omega Collection. But since they have gone, there's been
Okay.
absolutely zero desire from Sony. It's almost as if Sony forget that Wipeout exists. And I know what people are going to say. Oh, they don't release Wipeouts because they have Gran Turismo. Two completely different markets. I'm sorry. There's
Yeah, that's
people.
it. I mean, sure. We've done challenges for Gran Turismo. We've done challenges. We did Grip as well.
Mhm.
Like they're two different fan bases altogether. Like a high octane kind of bombarding
Futuristic. Yeah.
racer kind of game isn't going to appeal to a card. Well, it does appeal to a Cardinal Smith, but the one who cares about your wheel bearings and like what racing tire profiles you're using and an actual like gentleman racing, I will call it.
Yep.
Yeah, they're seldom gonna overlap that fan base, I think.
And that's it. There is overlap, but there's no one on this planet who's like, "Oh, I can't wait to Gran Turismo 8. Oh, wait, there's a new Wipeout. Ah, I'm not going to buy Gran Turismo 8. What? No, they're they're two different genres as far as I'm concerned. Futuristic racers is a genre that no longer exists. I mean, there hasn't been a new F Zero since the GameCube. There hasn't been a new
Yeah,
Wipeout since the PlayStation Vita. I mean, there hasn't been a Zero G since the GameCube. It's a genre that's gone.
they're very flash in the pan titles, like especially like we had we had Grip and we got one Wipeout on from the PlayStation 4. They're very much singular titles of random studios who went, let's try it, and then they don't go anywhere.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
and it's a shame
I
because I love
if you put a
futuristic
bit more
racers.
stock into it, like, I think if there was a PS5 launch of a new Wipeout, people like us, like big retro heads or, fans of the franchise are gonna lap it up, really. So maybe it's
Yeah,
something that they could address in the near future, but who
I think
knows,
it's one of those. I think it's one of those type of games where it's so flashy and it has like killer soundtrack after killer soundtrack. I think if they brought out a new Wipeout for say the PlayStation 6, the launch title, I think it would do absolute gangbusters. There's just something about it. It's just a really good a racing game is a really good vehicle for showing off a new console's power, but it's always been the way. And Wipeout has always looked incredible. Like the Omega Collection
Yeah.
for remasters of what, two PSP titles and one PS Vita title. Incredible looking, like absolutely
Yeah.
incredible looking, and it played
That's
really
it. No,
well.
I
It was
remember.
brilliant. Bring back Wipeout. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I remember when we did our challenge for it, and I just was like, I remember fleetingly playing Wipeout and then having to put the grind in to that challenge specifically. I was like, I love this game. I think it's actually great, and it plays. Even the car feels futuristic, even in the
Mhm.
what you could blame on stick drift. Who knows? But yeah, great game, and not as you say, not enough of them. The future racers
No, not at all. Imagine Wipeout with the PlayStation's DualSense haptics. Be worth it for that.
don't be
Imagine
still, be still, my
being
beating heart.
be incredible. It'd be incredible. But yeah, one of my ones is obviously Wipeout. Dan, what's your second one that you want to? What's your second game series or game that you want to bring back? You want Sony to
So
bring back? Bring it back.
I vaguely remember this game. This is one of those games that I played like at a friend's house because they had this like copy of a game that nobody else had ever heard of. And only for a fact that another account that I follow had posted about it and it showed up on their feed as well. Shadow of Rome back in 2005.
Shadow of Rome.
Developed and published by Capcom. So I had to do a bit of googling on this because I obviously remember playing this, like going to a friend's house after school and playing a little tiny bit of it. It's set in like a fictional version of like the post the assassination of Caesar, and you play one of the characters whose dad is accused of the murder, and you have to do a whole load of like there's a lot of fighting elements in the Coliseum and stealth elements, and Capcom did talk about doing a sequel for the longest time, and then basically Dead Rising took over.
Right. Okay.
Just yeah,
I can't.
one
I
of those
can't think of
games
this game.
that just so fleeting in my head, but I distinctly remember the cover. I have the picture of it here, for argument's sake there.
No.
No, it's one
No,
of them,
man.
like, moments, one of those after school moments I went, "This game is pretty decent," and then it fell off the face of the earth. That's 20 years old now, and then Dead Rising
Wow.
took its place in the development of it.
Incredible scenes. No, I've never even heard of it, to be honest with you. Um, it just looks like a proper Capcom PlayStation 2 title. It's just one of those little. I
Yes.
actually don't know anything about that game, which is strange because it's a Capcom game. I know in the PlayStation 2 there was like a few sort of like gladiator type games, and I'm presuming it was entirely down to Gladiator, the movie. um,
Quite
so
possibly, yeah. I'm because it's one of those ones. It literally triggered a random memory watching other people on Instagram talk about, and then it just randomly appeared. So I started to look into it. It got quite well received by critics, but they were left sort of whatever about the stealth elements in the game, and that their
okay, yeah.
enemy AI was a bit poor and a bit kind of meander, and you were able to just kind of ghost through the parts pretty relatively. But the game apparently sold well enough to warrant a sequel, which then Capcom never bothered with. And then in its place, Dead Rising happened. So I guess in a fortuitous situation, we got Dead Rising.
Yeah. Nah.
Meh.
I'm not a fan of Dead Rising at all. Although I've heard of it.
I mean that is true. That one has stood the test of time, but You know what? I get how the game industry works. These sequels get planned, and sometimes other games kind of like form from that those embers,
Mhm.
really. But
Yeah.
obviously, it's been on their mind if they've had it. And when did Dead Rising 1 come out? Then it mustn't have been too long.
Oh 05.
Oh yeah, so
Is
we're
it
kind
the
of in that
or oh
same.
or oh 06, the year the Xbox 360 came out, because of an Xbox 360 launch title. So it was Dead
Yeah,
Rising.
so you're in and around that same area then. So who knows? Maybe some executive in Capcom is going to have the same memory trigger as me one day and go shadow a room. We need to do a second one.
Where's that sequel? Oh, it's fallen behind the sofa. They have to dig it out and they find like a
That's
whole rake of change back there as well. Enough money to fund the development.
but that's brilliant. Seldom have I we've done 102 episodes of this. Very rare that I've mentioned a game that has stumped Luvva.
Yeah, I've never heard of
There
it.
we are.
Never heard of it.
First time for
So
everything.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna give you one now you've never heard of, Tomahawk. All right. It is another PlayStation OG. You have heard of it because it was a huge title. And again, another one of those you hear the title and you're like, PlayStation, let's go. I am, of course, referring to Twisted Metal. Bring
Yes.
back Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal 1 on the PlayStation 1 was really fun. Not the most accomplished launch title, left a lot to be desired, in fairness. But Twisted Metal World Tour, Twisted Metal 2 for you Americans, um, unbelievable game. Twisted Metal World Tour was unbelievably good. I remember me and friends playing that for months after release, trying to beat the story mode, which is ridiculously hard because you get a certain amount of lives and there's no save points. There's passwords after every 3 levels, I think it is. And then the midway point mini boss, who was the boss of the original game, comes in, absolutely will decimate your life pool. Absolutely
Okay.
will decimate it. But what a game Twisted Metal World Tour was. Twisted Metal 3 was okay. It was 353 Studios and not directed by David Jaff. Um, it wasn't as good. Fun. We never got Twisted Metal 4 here, and we never got Twisted Metal. There was like a toy car game. I can't remember what it was called, like Pocket Battles or something like that it was called. That was America
Oh yeah,
only.
I remember that actually. I remember hearing
Yeah,
of that. Yeah.
it was American only. So Twisted Metal kind of died shortly after the PlayStation 1 era. In the PlayStation 2 era, there was two Twisted Metals, Twisted Metal Black and then Twisted Metal Black Online. And Twisted Metal Black is the peak of the series. It is unbelievably good. It was a PlayStation 3 actually. Maybe PlayStation 3. Um Unbelievable game, Twisted Metal Black. The darkest game that you could I don't think you could make that now. The game was so dark, so twisted, but it was unreal. Like it was brilliant. It brought in so much stuff and it brought Twisted Metal right slap bang up to date. There was, independent aiming of the weapons, your turret guns, you could turn them independently. It was just so good. I think David Jaff came back to direct Twisted Metal Black. But what a game. But Twisted Metal, that was the last one. I think it was in 2011. I don't even think it was that
That's
late. It
mad.
might
Uh,
have actually been
yeah,
late 2000s, early 2010s. But what a game Twisted Metal was. Just unreal. It's just one of those games that totally screamed the original messaging of PlayStation, which was this isn't for kids, this is for young adults.
an
And look
actual like
how
grown up game, really.
cool it is. Yeah.
Like, you have a funny few avenues of how you could even bring this one back because obviously Apple are putting out the Twisted Metal TV series, and it did just get like
Peacock. Yeah.
it did get its renewal, and it has been going through a second season, and apparently it's been doing quite well reviews wise. So you'd like to think that maybe Sony will see that and go, let's kind of support this in parallel because my brain would be get like a Helldivers type situation in and turn it
Yep.
into a live service
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
game.
Agree
And
100% with
I
you.
think you've got another like Helldivers did okay in the first instance, but Helldivers 2 then just kind of another echelon of gaming. I think you've a well established cult following of Twisted Metal fans.
Hmm.
Tie that in with the TV show, put it into a big live service game. Boom.
100%.
I
I agree.
think treat it right, you've got the same, upward trajectory as Helldivers 2, really.
Oh, yep, I agree 100% with you. I think totally online all the time and just make it not even like Fortnite-y, which is not something I don't think it would work with like 100 plate people in an arena. The arena would have to be huge and it would just wouldn't work, I don't think. But make it like PvE with like community led events. Calypso has started a new tournament. You have to qualify for that tournament, all that sort of stuff. Make it really customizable. Obviously, have characters, but those characters are like boss characters or they make up the arena. You create your own character, create your own car.
Yeah.
There's so much you could do with Twisted Metal. It is a blank canvas. No one will remember Twisted Metal if a new one came out, apart from us old dudes. But I think we're so far removed from what Twisted Metal was that Twisted Metal can now be absolutely anything it wants to be. There was rumors that there was I think it might have been Blue Point at one point of the game were working, or is either Blue Point or Band were working on a new Twisted Metal that they pulled the rug on for the PlayStation 4.
Oh,
I would
okay.
love I would love to see Twisted Metal come back. I would love the big return of Calypso. And as you say, the synergy with the TV show. I enjoyed the first season. I thought the first season, it's not good TV, but it was really, really, really fun. And it knew exactly what it wanted to be. And it wanted to be a comedy that was totally aware of its concept being utterly ridiculous. And I really
Oh, I
enjoyed it.
that's it.
I
Like,
really enjoyed it.
in my head for this Twisted Metal thing that you wanna do, it's like Last of Us Factions meets Destruction All Stars meets, like, the grand scheme of how Helldivers is set up, as a community. I think fire all those elements in and
Yeah.
yeah, right on to a winner, big time.
Yep.
Stoney, we know you're listening. There you are.
Bring
We
back
will
Twisted
accept
Metal. I
we'll
will
accept
be.
a check in the mail.
We'll be advisors, project advisors as well, and with lots of ideas, lots of good ones for it as well. With give you some for free. I've got plenty more. Let's make PlayStation what PlayStation used to be. Bring back Twisted Metal, please. Sony, do you have any more, Tomahawk?
Bloodborne.
Oh yes, I was going to say Bloodborne. Yes, let's go. Let's hear it.
Like, I know that FromSoft are doing this whole Elden Ring thing. That's what
Yep,
the FromSoft have just kind of receded into now. They obviously do their Armored Core stuff as well, which is now starting to make a bit of a resurgence with the new stuff coming on, or the older stuff going on to the Classics catalog.
yep.
Um, I just think that yes, they don't want to commit time to it, and not an unnecessary resource. I know that they've said basically that they have priorities elsewhere, and they don't want to half-ass a beloved franchise.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure that Sony own the control, like creative rights to
Oh,
Bloodborne.
they own the
Pretty much
IP.
100% of it. They own the IP, so I know it's a big gamble to further expand on Bloodborne without maybe any FromSoft input, but I'm sure they will try.
I don't think they will.
I
I
mean, it's
don't
been
think they
what,
will.
10? It's been 11 years now, and we haven't had a
10
sniff of
years.
a
2015, I think.
10. Yeah,
Bloodborne.
we haven't had a sniff of a sequel. We haven't had a sniff of a remake, a remaster, anything like that. We've had,
No.
I mean, we've had Bloodborne Kart before.
Yeah.
We've had Bloodborne Kart before. We've had GTA 6, and we'll probably get a Bloodborne sequel before we get GTA 6. But
Yeah.
like,
I would.
it's just
It's one.
damn, like bloody Elden Ring being so popular, and this Night Rain thing is it will take off, and it will be incredible. Just
Nah,
more
I don't think it
Bloodborne.
will. I don't think this Night Rain is going to be that big a hit. I think it will sell a lot, but I just don't think the players will stick around based on what I've heard about the open betas and stress tests and stuff. They're like, yeah, it's really good. I just want more of it. Apparently, it only has 8 bosses, I think, at launch, which isn't an
Yeah.
awful lot. I thought it was going to be like a big Monster Hunter thing. Apparently, it's not. Apparently, it's just
Oh, it's
go to
quite
the
like
boss, beat
quite
the boss.
close confined, and Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think they've cherry picked from like Dark Souls and a few other games of what bosses do appear as well. So
Yeah.
for the for the FromSoft Elden Ring head, they'll put a fix in. But obviously, being Bloodborne being a PlayStation exclusive, which is so weird,
Still.
I still think this is quite weird for FromSoft to have committed to that. I want more. I need more. I mean, we've talked about Bloodborne for years on this podcast, and I'm going to talk about it still.
Yeah. I was honestly surprised when Bloodborne was announced to be a PlayStation exclusive because of FromSoft. Obviously, Demon Souls was a PlayStation 3 exclusive. Still is to this day a PlayStation exclusive because Sony own the IP rights. um, but but yeah, From were notoriously raging at how Sony handled the worldwide distribution of it. In fact, Sony said we will handle the worldwide distribution of it, and then didn't. They handled the Japanese launch and then sold their gave Namco Bandai the worldwide distribution rights. So they did, and apparently From were absolutely livid at that. And I'm really surprised they agreed to Bloodborne. I'm especially surprised they agreed to Bloodborne, knowing that they wouldn't hold any power over the IP. And now that
Yeah.
Sony is now the one of the majority
Oh, one of
shareholders
the
of
majority stakeholders.
Katagawa,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, which makes them they can make decisions for From now. So maybe, just maybe, they'll go here From. We're gonna let
It'll be a
Bluepoint do a
gunpoint
Bloodborne remake.
at this point in time, though. But I think we'll get a annoyingly. I think
Uh,
we're gonna get a 60 frames per second remake than we are a sequel.
From get Bluepoint on it. Their Demon Souls remake was great.
Just do
I mean,
blue point, do everything. That's fine. I mean, absolutely, they've proved time and time again that they can do it and are very, very capable of doing it. Yeah, like I can live in hope that one day it'll be shadow dropped and all will be right with the world.
no, they'll make a big. If this ever happens, though, they're making a big deal of it. It'll
Pomp
be
and
like the one
majesty.
more
Yeah,
thing at the game showcase or whatever. I would love it to happen. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. It was hugely popular, and it's obviously like the white whale for PC gamers. It's the only you know modern From Software game that's not on PC, and I know the PC
yeah.
crowd will love it, and PlayStation crowd will love it. Make it happen. Give us a remake or a remaster, and then announce a sequel, and then let's just be done with this whole song and dance. Because Bloodborne was great. A part of me doesn't want to see a sequel though, because the first one is so it's perfect, and
Yeah, yeah.
you'd be worried about a sequel coming out and not being as good. But let's make it happen. Sony and I hold all the cards to a Bloodborne sequel. Let's play them. Let's put them on the table. Let's pretend it's Balatro and let's put them on the table. We have all the jokers. Let's go. Let's go. Remake Bloodborne. Let's go. My last one. Um, I have a good few. Obviously, Dino Crisis is the obvious choice for me. I've said it time and time again. I am now leading the global leader of the remake Dino Crisis movement. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to join. I'm not gonna.
Self-proclaimed, but
I'm not gonna bore the listeners were talking about Bloodborne, Dino Crisis again. It may happen, it may not happen. They've renewed the trademark of Dino Crisis. Fingers crossed. To quote Michael Scott, I'm ready to be heard again. When they do nothing with it, like they release like Dino Crisis socks or something like that, I'll buy them in the
of
hope it
course we'll
gets me
buy
a
them.
new game. Regina in my heart, Regina on my feet. But no, my I also was going to go with Parasite Eve as well, because I think Parasite Eve is a really,
Fair
really good
shot.
shout. The first game's brilliant. Second game's very good. Third game, wow, wow, awful. Third game was dreadful. They lost the rights to Parasite Eve, the name, because obviously it's a Japanese novel, and just had to call it the third birthday. Dreadful game. So maybe
Wow.
Parasite
Okay.
Eve is unless it's a remaster or remake of the original one, let's probably forget about Parasite Eve. Um, but no, my third game is a coin toss between Resistance and Killzone. That's my two shouts. It's a tie between those two. Bring back one of them. Bring back both of them. I would like to see one of them come back. If I was gonna pick between the 2, it's Resistance because
I would have
Resistance
said
Fall of Man
Resistance.
was unbelievably good, but it was Sucker Punch or
The
in
one Sucker Punch.
some well, it was Sucker Punch, wasn't
The
it?
Sucker Punch, yeah.
Um, the first game was so good, like, really, really, really good, just gritty, like a World War II game, only you were fighting the was it the Chimera? Is that what they were called? The
I think
aliens?
so, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah.
It's
And it's set in England as well. It's not very often
it's
you get a
weird
game
one
set in England.
because I thought myself was gonna say Resistance at one point as well, but I have a feeling the only reason they haven't done this is because there's so many games that are coming from like Microsoft from their Game Pass collection over to PlayStation, and I have a feeling
Mhm.
the reason they're not touching this because they could just bash out another one and it'll rival Gears of War E-Day when that comes out and drops. I have a feeling that we're gonna get Gears of War over to PlayStation anyway.
Oh, it's
Sony are
happening.
Sony are probably like, why do we need more then? We have
Because they're
the
but they're
I-
not
yeah.
they're not alike. They I mean, they are. I mean, like, if you take the synopsis of Gears of War and the synopsis of Resistance, they're the same
Oh,
game,
on in the written
aliens.
word, put them two together. Yeah, it's aliens fighting people on a planet, but yeah, that
In
they're
the playing of
slightly
them is completely different. Resistance is much more I don't wanna use the word realistic, but it's grittier, it's more real than Gears of War. Gears of War, you're superheroes blowing up aliens, whereas in Resistance, you felt like a freedom fighter. You felt like a soldier, like a
more
human.
grounded. Yeah.
Now, obviously, as the series went on, it got a bit more out there, where there was like they introduced like alien powers and stuff like this. Here in the third one, you were like a almost like a hybrid between humans and the Chimera. But no, they were just really fun games. They were just really good games. They looked beautiful. They ran well. They were really, really, really good fun. I really liked Resistance. I liked the story in Resistance. I liked the setting of Resistance. It's not very often you get games set in our neck of the woods. It's always America. It's always America, but not in Resistance. Well, not the first one anyway. But it's just I feel like Sony kind of rue the PlayStation 3 a little bit. I feel like there's not very often do they dip into the PlayStation 3 library, because there's people out there probably screaming at us, which is a really nice wee point for me to say, listen, anyone listen to this, what dead PlayStation IP would you bring back with a new game or a remake or a remaster or whatever? Which one would you pick? Because I'm pretty sure right now there's people screaming at their phones that it should be Infamous or Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
There's
very
loads
valid
of
points as
games.
well.
There's loads of games from the PlayStation 3. I don't know what it is about the PlayStation 3. The people say it's the cell processor. It makes it really hard to emulate. Then don't emulate it. Just do a remaster and make it nice and easy for yourself. It's still an X. It's a 64-bit operating system, so it should be easy enough. But yeah, no, Resistance is such a fun game. Killzone as well. Now, the only reason I went Killzone had a PlayStation 4 game, like Shadowfall, I think it was called, and it was fun. It was fine, but that's probably run its course. Killzone has
Yeah.
probably run as far as it's going to.
Resistance has been dormant for too long in that regard. I
Yeah,
think it was only PlayStation 3, if I remember correctly.
2011, I think, was the last one. Yeah, Resistance was a launch title. Resistance 2 2 years later, and then 2 years after that was Resistance 3. I think it was 2011, right near the end of the PlayStation 3, to be fair. But yeah, no, Resistance is my third one. There's so many more games we could have said. Ridge Racer is a big one for me. I know it's not a Sony title, but I associate that with with PlayStation. And then I was considering saying Tomb Raider. Now I know everyone's going to say Tomb Raider gets games fairly regularly, but I'm talking about actual Tomb Raider, like the original style of Tomb Raider.
Oh, like
They should
full
bring that
tanks.
back.
Yeah.
Like, just not even with tank controls, just a game that's about exploration and all that good stuff, about actually going into these desolate tombs and exploring and finding whatever artifact it is you're looking for. You know what I mean? 'Cause, the new Tomb Raiders are great. I really like them, but they're action movies, whereas
Oh
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
like
They're into the
a
Uncharted
slower
narrative type. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would like a slower pace, like classic style Tomb Raider, only new. I'll just have to make do with the remakes.
So what you
But
want is you want more skate parks underneath
yep,
pyramids.
yeah, big massive
Perfect.
golden
Yeah.
pyramids that go nowhere, and yeah, all that good. I want all of it.
And
I want all of
French French people with machine guns. You just want that. I mean, I want more of that as well. It's
it.
perfect.
Yeah. Not enough swan diving into the oceans. That's what I'm saying here. And speaking of swan diving, Tomahawk, shall we swan dive into the wrap up section?
Let's do it.
And that is it, Tomahawk. Episode 102 is all wrapped up. It is done.
Easy breezy.
It is beautiful. And I'm just looking at the recording timer here. It is at 1 hour and 2 minutes. 102.
Oh, don't
Synergy.
timestamp it because it's going to be edited down. It's going to be less than an hour now. You've ruined it.
It is. It is. You're seeing how the sausage is made here, folks. Yes, are.
Oh, good grief.
Speaking of sausages, I was just thinking there in that wee break. Do you know what game would be really good for PlayStation to bring back? Fat Princess. Do you remember Fat Princess on the PlayStation 3?
No.
Fat Mate, it sounds absolutely insane, but it was so much fun. Fat Princess was like a competitive multiplayer game. It was only like it was an indie, like I say indie title. Sony made it, but it was basically capture the flag. So each team had a princess they had to rescue, and they had to bring her back to their base. But the enemy teams would feed her, make her fatter, which made her heavier and more difficult to get back to your base. But it was so much fun. It was just off the wall in insanity. But yeah, bring back Fat Princess. What a game that was! It was so much fun. Really short-lived fun, but for like a
That is incredible. I've
yeah,
never heard of that.
yeah. She was
I mean,
also in
it's yeah, 32 player online play based. You could easily do that in like a Fall Guys style.
yeah, yeah.
Could
I
you
was
get
just
away
thinking
with I
there.
say could you get away with it this day and age
Yes,
ish? I mean,
yes.
purely satirical, like, but
Yeah, of course you could. It's a fun game. They get
that's
away with
brilliant.
worse in games now.
That's
but,
brilliant.
but
That's a great shout.
But yeah, speaking of getting away with things, I'm getting away with extending the topic of the week there into the wrap up section, which is on unacceptable. So we need to get this back on track a little bit by doing the housekeeping for the second time in the episode. So as I said at the start, if you haven't given us a star rating, please do consider give us a star rating. 1 star to 5 star, whatever you think we deserve, that's what you rate it. If you want to give us a written review, that's even better. And if you want to share this with your friends or family members, please, please, please do that. That will help us out immeasurably. If you want to get more high scores, high stakes content, then go to highscoreshighstakes.com and click on the links that will bring you to everywhere you can find us on the internet. And I think, Tomahawk, I don't think I've forgotten anything, have I? I don't think so. It's getting
Uh,
shorter
I
every
think
week.
I think question of the week. I suppose that's going to be the same as what we've discussed anyway. Let the
Yeah,
listeners at home, yeah, just have their
yeah,
say. What forgotten IP do you want brought back?
yeah, yeah.
How many
Let's
fat princesses do you want to roll up a hill or across a bridge or?
Do you want the original Tomb Raider back? What games, what dead PlayStation franchises, or any franchises to be honest, doesn't have to be PlayStation, would you like to see make a return in 2025, 26? Let us know in the comments below or on our Discord or wherever it is you want to get in the Discord, highstakes.com. And with all of that being said, Tomahawk, I have nothing left to say except I've been Mr. Luvva Luvva. This has been High Scores, High Stakes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.